And we're back. What's up, Matt?
What's going on, man? Did you have a good Halloween?
I did.
Did you dress up?
I did not. We don't have a lot of trick-or-treaters anymore. Like, we're in this neighborhood. It's a gated community, and it's mostly empty nesters. And so there's not a whole lot of kids in our neighborhood.
I mean, it looks like one of those like full-size candy bar neighborhoods, though.
It is.
It looks like it.
We hand out some sweet candy. We only had 3 groups, and each group had a few kids in it, and that was it.
There's like a lot of Debbie Downers in my neighborhood now.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah.
What does that
like,
mean?
Lights off, nothing.
Really?
Yeah, like don't even leave. It's like leave some candy out or something. But
that's not good.
Just like my whole street was just like dark.
Well, that's a trick, right? No treat, you trick. You throw some eggs or something.
My kids are like 4.
I got to start them off right, man. Come on. When I was a kid, we, like that kind of thing.
What were your Halloweens like?
Yeah, well, I think that's a little insight right there. You know exactly what it was like.
You're going to dress up this weekend, right? You got going to Vegas?
Yeah, I'm definitely dressing up for Vegas. I'm going to wear a singlet. I'm going to Frank Nash's wedding. Shout out to Frank. And it should be a good time. I haven't been to Vegas in a long time. And it's going to be interesting. I think the after party starts at 10:30 p.m. on Saturday night, which would be 1:30 a.m. my time, which is about 5 hours after I normally go to sleep. So it should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, I know.
Or get an afternoon nap.
I'll have to have a week off to recover. But no, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time.
Hell yeah.
So today we're going to talk about, Matt, practicing. And practicing in the sense of practicing the actual skills and the scripts and all the things that you need to be successful in this business model.
Yeah.
Obviously, Matt, this is something that you do during training. So most of the training, if you guys that don't know, is handled by Matt and Jared. Matt handles a lot of the technical and the sales stuff. Jared handles a lot of the software and the ramping up and the pre-sale marketing and the pre-sale, scripting and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, practice, it's funny, you've heard the saying, practice doesn't make perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect. So you really need to practice everything from sales to running the workouts to how to say hello, goodbye to the customer. I mean, pretty much anything can be role played. I don't think people like to role play. Anyone that's listening that's ever had your team do it, it's super awkward. And especially when you're doing it in front of a group of peers during a week of training and it's folks that you have never met before, it can be a little unnerving. But I would say that if you can master that environment, you're going to do a lot better when you're out on your own. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and just to throw it out there, I mean, we role play all scenarios. So I'm not even telling, like, everybody just thinks we're role playing like sales. We role play everything, literally, like clients walking in the door to the actual training of them to screening them. I mean, role playing, like every function you have with clients, role play.
Well, and that's perfect because how do you know unless you do it, right? I mean, you can, and again, we talked about this before, the way that we set up training week is watch, listen, and then do. Mm-hmm. And that sequence is very, and then test. We have a testing mechanism too, which makes it stickier because we can pull out the things that we know are most important. And that's what's going to be tested on, the things that we want you to absolutely remember. But you just can't replace good old practice. So things that we do, we role play sales. And so everything from the initial sales process, which is the pre-sale, where we're going to, and I've heard you do this, where somebody's standing at a mock-up table. It's like, all right, you're standing at your table / tent. Someone walks up and says, hey, tell me what you guys do, and, go, and that's the role play. This is this person, that person. And it was funny. I was in here and I was witnessing that play, and I don't know if it's just because, people were trying to be funny, but, a lot of the folks were giving the trainee, if you will, because it was like, all right, you're the customer, and in this role, you're the customer, and you're selling them, right. You're convincing them to take part in this pre-sale. And the person that was role playing the customer was giving them these difficult
it's
tasks.
Like the hardest sale ever.
Yeah, the hardest sale ever. Where it's like, yeah, I'm a bodybuilder. I want to get jacked, and I used to do steroids, and everyone's like, her. And I remember walking in when that was going on. I'm like, hold on. Like, this is the parallel, right? If you were training, say, in martial arts and you wanted to get good at martial arts, you're going to start with the fundamentals.
Right.
And you're going to get reps and reps and reps and reps of the fundamentals.
Right.
And in order for you to get, air quotes, clean reps, right? So that you're sort of greasing the groove and you're building this muscle memory. And it's the same thing for conversations, by the way. You need a friction-free process, at least at the start. So to put someone in this high stress environment and then walk up and say, yeah, I'm I'm a bodybuilder that wants to get jacked and I used to take steroids. It's like, what? I mean, that never happens in our model anyway. We're attracting 45 to 65-year-old sophisticated folks with money. That's not a conversation that we're having a lot. And rarely do people have a goal of straight up competing in a bodybuilding competition. So I'm like, listen, what you guys are doing, the equivalent of that is like teaching someone to throw one little punch and then saying, okay, spar. And then someone just punching you in the face as hard as they can while you're trying to figure out the one thing you've learned, right?
Yeah. Well, in our defense, that was the last day of training. So, man, we were going all out.
Well, it wasn't even you. I think it's just human nature to be like, well, I'll make this funny. It's like, well, let's not do that because, again, the equivalent would be you're jabbing someone in the face as hard as you can and they've just learned how to, parry the jab. It's like, come on, man. Like, make it easy on them.
Well, as you're saying, and this is how, first we teach them, presentation and show them like normal objections, right? These are the things you're normally going to hear from your clients, price and whatever. Time, those kind of things. And then we start doing them one at a time, right? We work on the price objection, we work on the time objective and go from there. And then by the end, we're throwing it all together.
Right.
Yeah, human nature. Yeah, we're pretty mean to each other, which was great in training too, because by the time these folks actually get in front of a real person, it's going to be a cakewalk. I mean, even Steven, who just took his first sales call the other day, was like, I didn't even have to say anything. They literally told me their goals and everything. I didn't even have to ask.
Yeah, I mean, it's much simpler than because we're trying to create again, overcoming objections. There's not a lot of objections in our type of sale. I mean, it says personal training on the door, and believe me, there's a ton of research that went into this, like. The location where we're going to put your facility, the type of marketing that we're doing, the type of people that we're marketing to, that we're targeting with this marketing. Once you do all that right, there's not a lot of sales, quite honestly. It's like, in this day and age, there's like, what does it take, 7 touches for them to even reach out to you? So they're going to look at articles that you've posted. You're going to look at your social media stuff normally. The name says personal training, so they have an idea. It's going to be more expensive and more specific to them. So by the time they reach out and you get them in here, it's not that difficult, right? You're not really overcoming it. So the whole bodybuilder scenario cracked me up, but I'm like, all right, listen, it's the old adage of, I think also from martial arts where don't fear the guy who's learned 1,000 kicks, once, fear the person who's learned 1 kick 1,000 times. So if you get really good at the basics, again, it's blocking and tackling, right? So you get really good at the basics, you're going to be just fine. You don't have to know every trick in the book. And if you do, even if you didn't have the basics right, it's not going to work, right?
Man, you got like all the sports analogies going today.
You like that?
Right.
Like Bruce Lee over here.
Freaking karate.
You like water.
And football.
I know.
Doing it all.
Bringing all the sports in.
No, I mean, you're talking about role playing. Like I was saying earlier, is like everybody focuses on sales. Sales is very important, but things you harp on all the time are like, hey, we need to get better at phone calls. We need to learn how to answer the phone properly. We need to learn how to greet people properly. I mean, we go as far as, say to pre-sale, people coming to your table, like make sure you walk around the table. Do not stand behind it. Greet them where they're at. So there's a lot of those nuances and things like that. And then, again, expand on it. Do more than just sales. Make sure your team knows how to run their play. Make sure that they know how to answer the phone. Know that maybe they don't leave a message.
That's 100% right. And you're right. I wasn't even thinking about that with this conversation, but uber important. And how many times have you talked to someone? I've had this happen so many times with the, 1,000,001 licensees we work with, and you role play, and maybe it's just specific to overcoming objections and they're doing really well. And then the phone at their facility rings and they answer it. And let's just say it was here and they're like, Alloy.
What'd it do?
Right. Yes. Exactly. I'm like, well, you just killed it before you even got started. And they're like, what? And so you need to role play everything, because if you answer the phone like you're really busy and you don't have time to be answering the phone.
What?
Gosh. Hello. Then it doesn't matter what all, right. And then they would hang up and look at you like, what? I'm like, why would you do, like, that's step one. They're never even going to get to the point where you're having the conversations that we're having if you don't do that right. And to your point, little things, body language, right? So is it good to have a physical barrier between you and the person you're talking to? Probably not. So walk around the table, right? So it's just these common sense things that if you haven't sold and you don't understand body language and nonverbal communication and all the little things that go into making everything come to life, you have to role play that. And that's the depth of the things that we're role playing, along with, like, long term, we're role playing the workouts as well. Mm-hmm. So, I was talking to Jared, who's our head franchise business coach, this morning, and we have a candidate that's getting ready to come to training. And he's like, meanwhile, just start doing the workouts. Like, just get a feel for it, because there's a partnership where there's an investor and an operator, and he was talking to the operating partner. So he's going to be in the studio working with clients. So it's like, well, practice. You have to fully understand what it is that you're selling, and no better way than to experience it yourself. So get in there, practice workouts, do that type of thing. And I think even if you're 3 to 5 years down the road, I mean, we still do it. We still practice, and we still read, and we still try to upskill ourselves. And if you're a coach on the floor, okay, we've learned sales and everything, and you can get better at that, and you got to keep it simple. Great. Now, like, what about the delivery of the product? And we have our 7 core tenets. It's like, just working on the basics all the time. There's no one that's successful that doesn't do the basics well.
Right.
It's impossible.
Nope.
I don't care if it is pro sports or it's business. Like, you have to do the basics well every single day. So practice, practice, practice. So the point of this podcast is you can't role play enough. You can't underestimate how important that it is. And like, to your point, every function in the business, it's something that we do as a brand. So if you're a candidate looking at Alloy, just know that you're going to get training in all of these soft touch areas that are uber important. And we're going to be pushing you forever and a day to continue to grow and to continue to practice and to master whatever that craft is, whether it's sales, whether it's leadership, or literally whether it's kettlebell swings on the floor, right?
Yep.
All those things need practice. But anyway, good insight from you, and I appreciate it. And I think that's it. That's all I've got for today. It's a short one.
Whew, attaboy.
Can you believe it? Short and sweet. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.